with Medill exclusives. Yes. So my name is Kristen Wayne-Sound, and I work in Medill's Office of Student Life. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the Student Life session. But today I'm going to moderate our exclusive sessions, and you're going to hear all about our awesome newsroom opportunities today. So Ellen Shearer is here from our PC newsroom, and then Josh Meyer will join us on Skype, and then Scott Anderson will go for us from our Chicago newsroom. So they're going to go into some good details, and we'll have opportunities for you guys to ask questions after the group.
Okay. So I am delighted to see all of you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Washington program can offer you. We're kind of starting at the end and then going to the beginning of your time at Medill, but I have to catch a plane back to Washington, so I'm going to start. Before I tell you about the Washington program, I'd like to show you what our students have done in Washington. All of this video was excerpted from their stories. So we don't move quite that fast in Washington all the time, but we do move pretty fast. It's a very busy newsroom. The Washington capstone experience is a really terrific opportunity for you to take everything you've learned in your previous 3 quarters, and then we're going to push you to be even more enterprising in the Washington program, where everything you do is published by one of our media partners. But let me back up a little bit. Washington offers opportunities to do the capstone experience, which is 3 months, so 1 quarter, and that usually would be your final quarter, your 4th quarter. But if you'd like to come to Washington for 6 months, we also offer opportunities for a third. You could do a 3rd quarter and a 4th quarter. So you do the capstone in your 4th quarter, and in your 3rd quarter, we have a series of practicum opportunities, which is placing you at either media outlets, or if you want to increase your subject knowledge in an area that you want to report about, we can place you in think tanks and advocacy groups and Hill offices, so you can become more expert. For instance, currently we have 4 students in the 3rd quarter in Washington, and they are for their media practicums, they're at USA Today shooting video, Military Times doing text and video, UPI.com doing video, and Politico doing text. In addition, several of them are doing the subject specialization. They 2 are, and they want to do national security. So one is at the Center for New American Security, doing research on, I think it's national security implications of climate change, but some, a national security topic. And then the other is working with a military consultant, doing research around the military. So you could take 2 practicums, so you do 2 days at one and 2 days at the other, or you could take 1, and then you would augment your practicum experiences by selecting 1, 2, or even 3 of the seminars that we offer in Washington. So the 3rd quarter is about placing you out in media outlets, in think tanks, to give you that type of real-world experience, okay? And then your 4th quarter would be your capstone experience. The capstone is a 4-day-a-week reporting lab, newsroom. And you are you pick a storytelling technique that you want to specialize in. But we really operate as one newsroom, and we often team up on stories. For instance, this week we sent 2 students to the White House yesterday. Sometimes you just have fun. So President Obama was having the Ohio State football team that won the football championship. I do not specialize in sports. Oh, and I'm gonna keep going. And we had 2 students. They're both doing videos. One's doing a video for WKBN in Youngstown, Ohio, which is one of our media partners, and the other is doing a video for USA Today, which just wanted it for their sports channel. So often, you know, and they were kind of helping each other, backing each other up. But basically, you're going out on your own to report stories, and everything you do is published or aired by one of our media partners. So we're really pushing you to think creatively about your storytelling and to really be creative in your story ideas. We really want you to be thinking about original stories, and there are a ton of stories in Washington. And I always tell students, if you're a political junkie, Washington is the place for you. And if you're not a political junkie, Washington is the place for you. Mainly because of that 4 days a week of reporting for real audiences, real media outlets. And the best reporting in Washington is the reporting that shows how so many programs in Washington impact people's lives. You know, all the programs that are going on, some good, some not good, and both are important to report on, to improve veterans' health care, to improve education. You know, President Obama has proposed 2 free years of college. That's a great story. We can write about the politics of it, but just as important, probably more important, is writing, you know, talking to students, talking to parents, talking to educators. What does this mean to you? How is this going to change things? So we're always really trying to pull it back to what does it mean to the people outside the Beltway. To do that, we have a small travel fund that allows students with really good ideas to go outside the Beltway and bring in that perspective, although you can also do it quite easily by being creative within the Beltway. We've sent students to Guantanamo to cover the military tribunals. We've sent students to Alaska to cover copper mining and the business opportunities it's bringing to Alaska. In addition, we're very active in helping you find jobs. We have recruiters come, Bloomberg's coming Monday, and it was here last week. Reuters will be here, the Washington Post, tax analysts, and several others. So we're very, and every part of Medill is really active about helping you find jobs, but because Washington is a capstone, employers know that from there they can grant you as you head out into the job market. I'm talking very quickly about the Washington program. If you have questions, I'm going to ask you to hold them, but we'll get to them in a moment. Now I'm going to put on my other hat, which is national security. The National Security Initiative at Medill started in 2009. And we have 2 components. One is the specialization program, and one is the National Security Reporting Project. The specialization program is open to all Medill students. You can do this as part of your graduate program. It's not extra. You can do it just by class selections. So you have to take 4 classes. We really strongly encourage you to come to Washington so you could take our Covering Conflicts and Terrorism seminar. And then you may choose national security as your beat in Washington. And that's very broad. You might do military health care, you might do terrorism. You might do cybersecurity. You might do a combination of all of them. In Chicago, we offer the global seminar, U.S. securities reporting, which is kind of homeland security reporting, and covering cybersecurity. In addition, in your second quarter and third quarter reporting classes, if you're doing some local stories that have national security implications, like the dangers, who did that? Was that Chris? Who did that one? It was so good about the dangers of along Lake Michigan and the it was a water story, water security in Chicago. There are so many good local stories. All the police departments in the country, but certainly in Chicago, have plans for evacuating the city in case of bio threats, what to do, in case of transportation threats, like if there's something goes wrong on the L. But there's also, I just think there are a whole bunch of opportunities to do good local national security stories. So you take 4 classes. In addition, as a group, we meet every quarter for dinner with special speakers. We had the director of a movie called Fourth Bliss who watched the movie, and then she explained how why she chose it and some of the issues around trying to do a movie about the military. We've had a foreign correspondent from Al Jazeera, so things like that. In addition, we take trips. 16 students just got back from the 29 Palms Marine Training Facility in California, where we embedded in a live fire training exercise with their artillery battery and lived to tell the tale. We were had body armor and helmets, and it was real hot in the desert. But it was very interesting. The students were allowed to interview the Marines and shoot video and get photos, and we'll do some really interesting stories out of it. That's the specialization. And now I'd like you to meet Josh Meyer, who's going to tell you about the reporting project, the National Security Reporting Project.
Hi.
Hi, Josh. I just introduced you, and we've got 4 minutes left to talk about national security. So talk fast.
Should I talk? Okay. Anyway, hi, welcome everybody. Josh Meyer in Washington here. The best thing I can tell you is that if you're interested in this, you should contact me. My email is josh@northwestern.edu. Very easy to remember, JOSH. Anyway, big fan of the Fifth Quarter Project. I'm a 20-year veteran of the Los Angeles Times. I came to Medill in 2010. One of the main reasons I came was to help run these projects. We basically bring 10 scholarship recipients to Washington. You work full-time with me and a team of great adjunct faculty members on an investigative or enterprise project on a national security topic. It's all day. It's basically full-time. It's a real immersion process. We work with a professional media partner. You get to travel around the world. We've sent students to the Arctic Circle, to Chile to look at glacier melt. We just sent 2 students to the Ukraine, 2 to Cambodia, 2 to Iraq, Kurdistan, 1 to Mozambique, and 1 to Jordan last year. Those were all age students who got to travel. We're really proud of the projects. You can take a look at them online. The best way to do that is to look at our website for our Medill National Security Journalism Initiative, and that's at nationalsecurityzone.org. Ellen, do you have any of the flyers there that we can?
Yeah, they all have flyers, Jeff.
So yeah, we, one of the things I wanted to do, I'm running out of time here, is to show you some of these projects. We did one on global food security for USA Today 2 years ago. The students got great clips, great experience. One's at NPR now, one's at CNN, one's at the Seattle Times, and they really think that the professional experience they got, the connections and the clips, really helped them, get these jobs and launch a great career. So I can't recommend it highly enough. I think it's real-world journalism experience that is really hard.
Oh, Josh, you stop.
If we can get him back, we can give him 5 more minutes. We're okay on time. while we're dialing the, oh, never mind. I was
Yeah.
gonna wait until he comes back. I went through the project
Guys,
last
I
year.
lost you guys, did you hear me there? or-
Oh,
There
yeah.
you
go.
Josh, Chris Jasper is right here, and he was just gonna talk a little bit. Chris is now teaching here at Medill, but the year before, this past year,
Maybe about a year and a half ago, I
yeah.
came through here.
Chris was on the project that Josh was just talking about. Do you wanna talk a little bit about it?
Oh, I was just gonna reinforce, I mean, it is a full-time job. It is the culmination of everything you learned while you were here. I mean, it's putting all the pieces together in a real-world experience. You get to do everything, from reporting to editing to producing.
Digital media?
Yeah, the faculty that worked with us, one was a digital or data producer for AP. One used to run all the digital work for National Geographic. One was is an amazing freelancer that works for places like The Guardian. She's been in Haiti, she's been in Africa, she's been in India. I mean, just the experience that these guys forget is invaluable to you in those 3 months. I mean, working with Josh is a great experience. I can't speak highly enough of the National Security Project. So.
Chris went to Mozambique, and you should take a look at the multimedia interactive package that he did. Chris also essentially developed the website. So, Chris, if you want to show to him, Chris used text and maps and video or photos and interactive, and it's a really impressive package. So, in Global Post published it along with the rest of the package. So.
Any questions for Josh about so this is outside of the 4 quarters of your Medill graduate program. It's an additional quarter, and that's why there's scholarship money attached to it to help defray the cost of that. And you're only gonna do, you're gonna report on this project for 11 weeks, and that's, all you do. And it's very intense. Yes.
At what point do you start accepting applications for the program, or what quarter
So,
does it start?
Josh, the question was how the application process works.
Yeah, May 18th is the deadline. I've already circulated one thing. I'm going to start circulating more. This year's project is on global health issues, like sources in Washington tell me that the Ebola virus was the tip of the proverbial iceberg, and that the U.S. and global community aren't prepared for disease. So we're going to look at that. So May 18th is the deadline for applying, and then we pick a small panel of faculty will pick the scholarship recipients by June 2nd. And so over the summer, we'll try to do a little bit of work to give people who've been running Head Start, and then we start in September.
So, and then, that would, for you, a year out, right.
Does that line up about with the fall quarter?
Yes, it's exactly lines up with the fall quarter. Josh, thank you very much, and I'll see you Monday.
Yes.
See ya.
But don't forget, if you want to email me, don't hesitate to do so. So have a good weekend.
You too.
So, bye. The other thing I just wanted to mention, because I think, you've heard a lot about, I assume, the Medill mafia, the Medill everywhere, and they are everywhere. In Washington, honestly, like, you have to beat them off with a stick. But we don't beat them off with a stick. We bring them in to be Medill mentors. So everybody in the Washington program is assigned a working journalist who's a Medill alum to be their mentor. And those who are in the National Security Specialization Program, for their entire time, you'll have mentors here in Chicago. And then when you move to Washington, you'll get other mentors, and they're veteran national security, foreign correspondents, military reporters, Pentagon reporters, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's it for me. And I'm heading on to the airport. Oh, just for 1 minute, because I'm getting the evil eye.
So I know it was announced that Michael Wilbon is going to be a part-time faculty member for Medill. Is that going to be in the DC branch, or is he going to be coming here?
He's going to be coming both. He and Christine Brennan are going to be kind of, hang their hat, so to speak, in Washington, but they're going to be available kind of depending on what we're doing with sports in a particular quarter to advise, to speak.
Okay, but so if we do come to DC,
But in fact,
he
both
could
of
be
them,
someone.
yes, they're
Interesting.
both actually mentors in the Medill Mentor Program in DC.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll also be here next week, I think, for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
It's being held a couple blocks away, so you'll be here as part of that.
yeah, they're very accessible to Medill students. And yeah, Christine was we had an event in the Washington Bureau, and she was just there, and she's very excited to be part of them. So just make sure I get them.
I'm going to be down today.
Thank you all for listening, and I hope I expect I will see all of you in Washington. Bye-bye.
All right, so we've heard about DC, now we're gonna hear about some opportunities within our Chicago newsroom.
So this is Abigail Forster, who's a professor here. He's a longtime teacher of reporting, and in fact heads our reporting department. And until I took over in January, was the managing editor of the content lab. And is one of the faculty members who is teaching in the content lab. And when you join us, you cover health and science. Abigail will be delighted to work with you, helping you learn how to cover that beat and do reporting in that field. Many of you stopped by the content lab and heard me blather for a few minutes earlier, so I won't repeat myself. Just a quick overview again. The second quarter content lab's main objectives are to help you learn how to cover a beat of your choosing, and to continue your learning how to do basic reporting at the Medill level of quality. The output from what you learn and do in your reporting goes in multiple places, primarily to MidillReports.org, your website. But we also try to reflect the modern day reality of the always-on deadline every minute newsroom, and particularly later in the quarter, start publishing in real time to Facebook and Twitter. We're going to try to do live videos with Periscope. We're trying to do a lot more 12-second videos with Instagram. Trying to get away from just doing a traditional already story or also a minute 30 package of broadcast. It's more to reflect the realities of the business today. One of the great things we did in the winter, and again, a week ago, was the Chicago election. February was the general election. The incumbent mayor, Medill, was the first mayor ever forced into a run-up to this job in Chicago. And the run-up was held last week. He won, and both times we had, one of the largest contingents of journalists in the city covering the election. There was great excitement. In the content lab, we had, people on social media, people on video, people doing text. We broke a number of stories out in the field and in the woods. It was a great experience. And I put together a video during the night just to try to capture a sense of what it was like to be there. But I'll leave that now.
When Jasmine gets here, we'll get her building the about page.
There's 3 newscasts during the day and evening, 10, 12, 15 minutes in length. They weren't live, There were student packages. And they involved reports from reporters out in the field, doing what was called look lives. We had 2 anchors here in the studio. The guy who reported Medill into a run.
We already announced his name earlier at his headquarters.
Let's try one more just to switch that. So one little bump here.
Okay. Yeah. According to the former second ward alderman, ranked 4th place among candidates, with a mere 7% of the vote. Businessman Willie Wilson came in 3rd with 10%. Carney McGee was there as we already announced his name earlier at his headquarters.
That video was shot with an iPhone and was put together with iMovie. You don't need to use the very expensive camera that video storytellers will get in the Content Lab. And you can do amazing things with.
My thoughts on Ohio State and the BCSF.
Speaking of that's a clip that I use in class after that, and popped up after the election movie. So we encourage everybody in the Content Lab, even if they are a video storyteller, to use their phone or use the iPod type she had in networks. We want students to report for every potential platform, not just be quick reporters, not just be TV reporters. You're a reporter and you're a storyteller. We want to help you learn how. Content Lab, the primary thing is learning how to do the reporting, cover the beat, then tell the story. You'll pick a storytelling track, whether it's video or whether it's magazine or news, most of those are text-based. If you want to do social media, if you want to do plenty of production, we have roles for that in Content Lab as well, in addition to your reporting duties. So it's a great environment. We have great faculty. And we try, even if we don't have an election going on, we try to have a big group project. We're hoping next winter, so if you come in the fall and do the kind of the winter, we'll be covering the Iowa caucuses and the primaries in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Missouri. And again, we'll try to give you as great an experience as you want, based on the topics that you want to talk about. But I have Abigail, again, who spent many years teaching in the newsroom, talk a bit about, if you're working on science, Content Lab, what it is you do, what the opportunities are.
So, hello again. Hope you're having a great day. It's been wonderful to talk with so many of you today. We're going to go to the Medill Reports website soon. You've seen some of the exciting election coverage, but obviously we are continuing to update this website with stories of all kinds, literally pretty much 24/7. The newsroom days are Tuesday and Wednesday, but a lot of students come here after other classes throughout the week, and they continue to find, discover, post stories in all media. You are here at one of the largest newsrooms in the region as a credentialed reporter. You have a press pass that will get you into all the stories that CBS, ABC, CNN, the Chicago Tribune, the New York Times, BuzzFeed, or anyone else can get into. So you are here as a working professional. You are also here as a student in a very rigorous academic environment with people who want to help you explore yourself, your talents, your interests, the beats that would really most interest you, that would find your deepest commitments. You learn here about managing a beat, meeting sources, how to tell a narrative story, how to do a video story, how to explore a story in animation, how to work with newsroom production people who are very able to help you visualize a story in the most dramatic possible ways. that you could tell that story. Not all of you are going to leave here knowing HTML coding, but you will get to become familiar with it, and you will learn to explore partnerships with the people who are at media sites. Real World Media wants you to be able to collaborate with people who can visualize data, who can bring out stories and develop them right along with you in very new ways. So that's the newsroom in Health and Science, where I talked about some of the stories that we're doing, that we're covering every day. You know, one thing that we haven't touched on too much is quarter 3, if you stay here. We talked about quarter 3 in DC, but there's also quarter 3 in the content lab. You can take advanced reporting with me, you can take advanced video with Craig Duff, you can take magazine classes, and you can kind of intermix those various programs so that this is a very organic program. It will be unique for each and every one of you as you explore your talents and the directions you want to take. So let me tell you a little bit about advanced reporting and the Q3 opportunities. In video, to explore more in-depth video stories. For advanced reporting, we have one of my favorite examples from advanced reporting. We did a huge project on producing a news website on hunger in Chicago that I talked about this morning. But let me tell you about one other student project. During quarter 2 in the newsroom, one of our students went on an annual census that basically is a census of the homeless. And she went with the people in the city departments that make this census. They go to places like the underbelly of the city, under Lower Wacker Drive, where people have set up tents in sub-zero weather. And she went on that census, and people are being awakened in the middle of the night. Reporters who she got credentials to go along with the officials who did this. It was somewhat uncomfortable to know that you were awakening people in the middle of the night and trying to get their names, and people were flashing pictures of them. So you do the story from that particular breaking news event in Chicago. But she wanted to go back. And so as part of advanced reporting, she went back to the underbelly of Chicago, back to Lower Wacker Drive, and she met a man named Geronimo Lightfoot. And Geronimo Lightfoot had met a woman at a casino in Indiana, and she was staying with cousins and babysitting. And she decided rather than hanging out with cousins one night at a time, she'd join him on the streets. So the story became both a story about the underbelly of the city and the people who live there and don't have to make choices between housing and food, and this love story. They didn't have much, but they had each other. She worked a long time in that story, and we worked a long time on editing and writing it. And at the end of it, she came away knowing a lot more about herself and pushing herself as a reporter, as well as about Chicago, and telling the stories of people whose stories too often go untold. So come here and discover those parts of yourself and those stories in you and out there. And we hope to see you all here soon. Thank you.
Questions?
If you have any questions during the break, I'll be back out in the content lab to stop back soon. Send me an email. Chris will be out in the content lab again. Talk about it. And this is for the Lightfoot, the story.
I have a very difficult to remember email, but if you come by, I'll give you a Post-it note or something, and I'm available anytime to holler at. So.
And there's a whole list in the packets of all the people we've met today, and we're easy to find. We're here.
Hope to see you.
Well, let's have a bit of a break now.
Now, we'll be back in here at 4:30 for current student